After the age of 75, something begins to quietly change in many people's lives. Friends pass away, families get busy, social circles shrink. What once was a week full of conversations, laughter, maybe even arguments, slowly turns into days of silence. If you're watching this and you're over 60, let me ask you, how often do you truly connect with someone, beyond just a quick hello or a polite nod? Many older adults underestimate the impact of social isolation. They think it's just a natural part of getting older, a quiet retirement, a slower life. But what if I told you that stopping social interaction can have real, serious effects, not just on your mood, but on your body, your memory, even how long you live? This video is not about fear. It's about awareness. Because understanding what really happens when we stop socializing after 75 can help us make better choices before we get there. Or if we're already there, help us make a change today. So before we go any further, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed a difference in how much you socialize now compared to when you were younger? Drop a comment and share your story. Someone else might be going through the same thing and need to hear they're not alone. And if you care about staying strong and sharp as you age, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's begin with the first thing that happens when seniors stop socializing after 75. Just say the word, and I'll take you there. Number 1. The mind begins to drift, a true story. Let me tell you about Robert. He was a lively man in his 70s, living in Arizona. Used to be a school principal, loved chess, always had a story to tell. When his wife passed away, his routine changed. He still went to the grocery store, still smiled at the neighbors, but something was different. He stopped calling his old friends. Church became a once-a-month thing instead of every Sunday. He said he just didn't feel up to it. 6 months later, his daughter noticed something. He'd forget where he put his keys. He told the same story twice at dinner. He couldn't remember his neighbor's name. The doctor didn't diagnose Alzheimer's, but mild cognitive decline. Nothing dangerous yet, but a clear sign. His brain wasn't getting the same workout it used to. When seniors stop socializing, the brain misses out on a critical function, conversation. Social interaction isn't just small talk. It's decision-making, memory recall, listening, emotional regulation, all in one. Every time we chat with a friend, our brain lights up like a switchboard. Without that, the circuits start to dim. Slowly, quietly. And here's the powerful takeaway. Robert started going to a local chess club once a week. It was hard at first, but he stuck with it. Within a few months, he was sharper, quicker, more engaged. His memory improved, not like magic, but measurably. If you're watching this and thinking, that sounds like me, I want to ask, when was the last time you had a real, meaningful conversation? Leave a comment below. Who do you miss talking to? Reaching out might be more powerful than any medicine in your cabinet. Ready to hear what else happens when we stop socializing after 75? Let me know, and I'll share the next chapter. Number 2. The body slows down, a scenario you might recognize. Imagine this. It's a chilly Tuesday morning. You wake up, pour your coffee, sit by the window. The house is quiet. You used to have breakfast plans once a week, maybe a walking group at the park. But lately, it's just easier to stay in. No need to shower early. No need to dress up. No one's coming by. By noon, you're still in your robe. You watch some TV, maybe take a nap. Before you know it, the day is gone, and your body? It's been still for hours. Now, think about the difference. On days when you do meet someone, even just a neighbor in the yard or a friend at the cafe, you move more. You stand, walk, laugh, gesture, engage. It's not exercise in the gym, but it's motion. And motion matters more than we realize. The less we socialize, the less we move. And the less we move, the faster we lose strength, balance, and energy. Muscles shrink. Joints stiffen. Our bodies aren't built for stillness, especially not in our later years. There's actually a term for it. Use it or lose it. And it's not just a saying, it's biology. Studies show that seniors who stay socially engaged are significantly more likely to maintain mobility and physical independence. Not because they're working out more, but because staying social pulls them into life, into action. So ask yourself, How many days this week did you get up and go somewhere because you had someone to see? 1. None. Let me know in the comments. You're not alone if the answer is not many. And if you've ever felt like your energy just isn't what it used to be, maybe the first step isn't physical. Maybe it starts with a phone call. Want to know what else happens when we cut off connection after 75? Stick with me. What comes next might surprise you. Just say the word. Number 3. Loneliness hits harder than you think. A surprising stat. Here's something that might stop you in your tracks. According to the U.S. Surgeon General, chronic loneliness in older adults is as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let that sink in. Not being alone, but feeling alone can be just as damaging as a serious addiction. We don't usually think of loneliness as a medical issue. It's something we brush off. I'm just having a quiet week, or I like my space. But the science is clear. When people stop socializing after 75, they're far more likely to slip into isolation. And isolation isn't just a feeling. It has real consequences. It increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, and even dementia. The body responds to loneliness the same way it responds to stress. It floods itself with cortisol. Blood pressure rises. The immune system weakens. Over time, it wears us down. One study found that seniors who described themselves as socially isolated were nearly 30% more likely to die in the next 7 years, compared to those who stayed connected. That's not just a number. That's life and death. And yet, it often starts so quietly. You stop going to church, miss a lunch, put off calling your old friend. Then a week goes by. Then 2. Then it feels awkward to reach out. Then it feels pointless. But it's not pointless. That comment you leave on this video, it could be the start of something. So tell me, have you ever felt that kind of creeping loneliness? That quiet that's louder than it should be? Share it below. You never know who might read your words and say, "Me too." If that stat surprised you, wait until you hear what happens to our memory when we go too long without connection. Shall we keep going? Number 4. Memory starts to fade faster. A look through the lens of science. You might think memory loss is just part of getting older, and yes, some of it is natural. But did you know that social interaction plays a direct role in how well we keep our memories? Not just emotionally, but neurologically. When we engage in conversation, our brains are doing something remarkable. We're retrieving past experiences, responding to tone and body language, making decisions in real time. It's like a mental gym. Every sentence, every laugh, every shared silence is a weight lifted. Now imagine if that all stops. Harvard researchers found that seniors with strong social connections experienced less cognitive decline over time. Their memories held on longer. Their recall stayed sharper. On brain scans, the socially active seniors had denser connections in areas tied to memory and learning. But for those who stopped socializing, changes came faster. Not overnight, but gradually. A misplaced word here, a forgotten face there. And then, entire pieces of the past began to blur. It's not just memory of the past that fades, either. It's the ability to form new memories. That's what makes social withdrawal so dangerous. You're not just forgetting who you were, you're losing the ability to stay rooted in the present. But here's the hopeful part. The brain is plastic. That means it can change, even later in life. Rebuilding those social habits, even slowly, can strengthen memory again. So let me ask you, what's a memory you don't want to lose? A name? A moment? A smell in the kitchen? Drop it in the comments. Let it live here, and maybe even spark a conversation with someone else. Because we're not done yet. There's still one more powerful truth about what happens when we stop connecting with others after 75. Want to hear it? Just let me know. Number 5. The spirit begins to dim. A tale of two paths. Picture 2 men. Both are 78. Both retired, living alone, relatively healthy. The first, Harold, spends most of his days watching television. He says he enjoys the quiet, but when pressed, admits he doesn't laugh much anymore. Doesn't really look forward to anything. Holidays come and go. His phone rarely rings. He tells himself he's fine, but his eyes tell a different story. The second, Walter, also lives alone. But every Thursday, he has lunch with a group from the community center. On Sundays, he helps set up chairs at church. Once a month, he joins a book club, not because he loves the books, but because he loves the people. His schedule isn't full, but it's steady. Now here's the difference. Walter glows. There's light in his smile, energy in his voice, a reason to get dressed in the morning. You see, when people stop socializing, something deeper than health is at stake. It's the human spirit. That quiet inner fire that gives us purpose, joy, connection. And after 75, when we need that light more than ever, isolation slowly snuffs it out. Depression in older adults often goes undiagnosed. Not because it's rare, but because it's hidden. It disguises itself as fatigue, irritability, even forgetfulness. But more often than not, it starts with loneliness. With days that blend together, with no one to notice when something's off. The truth is, the soul needs company. It needs stories, shared meals, silly jokes, meaningful silence. When we withdraw from others, we don't just shrink our world, we shrink ourselves. So here's my question to you. What keeps your spirit alive these days? Is it music? Grandkids? Faith? Friendship? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what brings you light. And if you've made it this far, stay with me. One final thought to wrap it all together is coming next. Shall I continue with the conclusion? So now we know. When seniors stop socializing after 75, it doesn't just mean fewer phone calls or quiet afternoons. It touches everything: mind, body, memory, and soul. We've seen how isolation can lead to cognitive decline, physical weakness, emotional pain, and a dimming of the spirit. But here's the most important truth. It doesn't have to be that way. Because the beauty of being human is that connection is always possible. Even if it's been months or years. Even if the old group has faded away. Even if you feel like you wouldn't know what to say anymore. One conversation can restart the engine. One small step, a call, a walk, a visit to the library, even a comment on this video, can lead to another. It's not about filling your calendar. It's about not letting the flame inside you go out. So I'll leave you with this. You are not invisible. You are not too old. You are not too late. If this video made you reflect, please hit that like button, subscribe, and more than anything, comment. Tell us how you're doing, what you're struggling with, or what keeps you going. There's someone else watching right now who needs to know they're not alone. Because you're not. We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself, and don't forget to reach out to someone today, even just to say hello.